Call the meeting to order. At this point, I have two items to add to the agenda, and I suggest under correspondence 8.5A, shared services letter that sent from School District 19, and then B, letter from the BC School Trustees Association to Ministry of Education on co-governance. Were there any other items to add to the agenda? If not, a motion to approve as amended. Moved by Elmer, second by Bill. Discussion, all in favor, carried. We have the minutes of March 24th. Any errors or omissions? If not, a motion to approve. Moved by Elmer, seconded by Leslie. Discussion, all in favor, carried. And we're pleased to welcome Geoff Battersby, Chair of the Revelstoke Community Energy Corporation, also Chair of the Forest Corporation, but tonight you're here for the Energy Corporation. So Geoff, if you want to come and join us.
Thank you, Al, and thank you for giving me a moment to come and chat. I particularly wanted to come personally and thank you for the cooperation that RCEC has experienced with the school district subsequent to that unfortunate fire we had on February 23rd. I must say that when we were undergoing the initial negotiations to have the schools on the system, one of the things that we said was you don't really need to have your own backup system because we have ours, and Cooper insisted that she was going to have a backup system, and that's why the schools fortunately had boilers, and the reason that is fortunate is that they were able to the school was able to backfeed our system with low temperature water to keep it from freezing up when we were completely out of commission. And so for that we are extremely grateful, and just the cooperative spirit that existed throughout that time. We don't have the schools back on service yet. We hope that within a month we may have the elementary school back on service. The reason for not being able to provide you with heat yet is that the boiler we were able to get on short notice to put the rest of our system in service is less than the total capacity that we need to do the system. So again, it's fortunate the schools have their own backup. What's the other thing I was going to say about that? Anyway, I can't. Oh yes, I was talking about getting the school back on. The only other customer we don't have Downey on because we can't produce steam from the propane boiler, and so it's just the two schools in Downey not getting service. I know that Mike has told you a bit about this, and I won't burden you with a whole lot of other information. It seems to you, I'm sure, as it does to me, that things are moving very slowly, but it's because of all the different experts that we have to come to get to look at various aspects of the plant to determine what needs to be done, and also making it safe so that the fire inspector can try and find what the cause is. We still do not know what the cause was. You can be sure that the insurance company is equally interested as we are in getting back on service as fast as we can, because of the fact that they are paying us money for a loss of revenue and that sort of thing as part of our policy. So I think that's enough for me to say. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Just a big thank you from RCEC.
Okay, and I'll just offer a couple comments if people aren't aware of the history. And so basically, this was a major community environmental issue in terms of the beehive burner, and it's also a major economic issue in terms of how Downey would proceed with the new regulations. And Geoff is the one who spearheaded the solution, and with a lot of hard work, a lot of creativity, a lot of federal grants, and turning over every stone they could for money, this is how the Energy Corporation was created. And it's a model that's used around the province to be studied. And basically, when we had the new schools under construction, I would say we had fairly serious negotiations for a period of time to make sure everybody was satisfied. But we knew right from the start that, first of all, as a school district, we wanted to support this important community initiative. And secondly, it was a big part of us going for the LEED Gold standard for the building, is having this sort of green energy. And so you're thanking us, but I think on behalf of the school district and the community, Geoff, thank you for your leadership for this Energy Corporation. It wouldn't have happened without you. So
Thanks. Two more other things: the improvement of air quality, because getting rid of that burner improved our environment dramatically. And secondly, the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in the community by something like 3,400 tons a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's sorry, it's an environmental issue. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay, if you three could move down a bit.
Sure.
Oh, was there a question?
No, that's, anybody have any other questions?
Okay.
No. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thanks for the sample presentation here.
Okay. So next, we'll welcome Todd Hicks. Where we go, Doug? Everybody's moving. Okay. So, first of all, Todd, thank you for the tour of the school. I think I hold the world's record for most Christmas concert attendance at any given school in well over 30 years. So it's a great school, and we're looking forward to your report.
Thank you. And I agree wholeheartedly. It is a great school, and I have to say I'm so proud to be the principal of it, because it's my job is very easy, because I have excellent staff, excellent parents, and outstanding students. So what I'm hoping to do tonight, you've all received my written report. In there, I just kind of tried to highlight a number of our programs and initiatives that we've been doing, as well as some of our strategies around our school goals. So really what I hope to achieve tonight is just give you a little bit more of a sense of our school culture. And I'm going to do that by really looking at sort of our phrase of the school, and that's our cares. And see how well my presentation can do. So a few years ago, we updated our logo, and we also updated our code of conduct, and we, everything evolved around the cares, and that's around cooperation, achievement, respect, enthusiasm, and safety. And it really has, in my mind, gone beyond the usual code of conduct as far as behavior expectations, because I really do think it encompasses our culture here at the school. So the first one, as I say, is cooperation. And we have outstanding cooperation within the school, and I'll just start off with our community. We use all of our resources in the community, our facilities. We work with RMR, the Nordic Ski Club, all part of School District 19 programming, but still, it's getting our students out into the community, and the partnerships we use. RCMP for DARE, up in the top right is a Wild Site program that we have going on. We really have outstanding opportunities in the cooperation within the community for our students. Our parents, of course, are a really key part of our community here. Here you can see the front playground that we added in last summer, which really, again, has had a huge impact on the culture of our school. We've got a lot more parents that are coming in a little early, particularly with their preschool children, if they've got children in the school as well, hanging out. Really a lot more. We talk about making connections with kids and parents. This truly was a great addition from that respect. You can see our gym full of students having lunch. Our pack supports a number of hot lunches, and we've moved to a model where all the kids are in the gym. And again, really, really nice just bringing everybody together, because one of the things we've worked on, and you'll see hopefully throughout my report here tonight, is that whole concept of empathy and understanding one another. And the more we have kids working together, the more opportunities they have to learn from one another. And of course, just the direct contact with parents and their children. It's a photo from one of our POPs programs. Cooperation with our students. It's really, as we're teaching kids and working with kids, it's really important that they're learning to cooperate with one another, how to work together, because really that is one of the basic learning skills that they'll take throughout their whole life. So you can see we do our buddy reading programs. It's amazing watching the younger students and how much they look up to the older kids as they're sitting reading a book in the hallway or in the gym. And the bottom photo was from our winter carnival this year. We worked closely with the Col de Glacier and did a Carnival theme based on the Quebec City theme. And I was quite shocked how well our snowman represented Bonhomme at the end of the day. So the next area of our code of conduct is around achievement, which again, of course, is one of our key goals, working with our kids. And wherever possible, my staff is always trying to work with the kids, extending their learning. You can see here there's a group of students that are working with the radio station. We had a call from, is it Steve? I can't remember, trying to think of his name. Scott, thank you. Down at the station, and some of you may have heard the kids.
Sean Aqualine.
Reading some poetry out. And you can see one of the students there. That's thanks to the, again, initiatives within the district, working with the mobile tech project. We've got some students working with their iPads in the classroom and using that as part of their learning. One area that I'm just really pleased with that two staff members, Michelle Gadbois and Tara Johnson, have been working. They've applied for an Art Starts grant, working with Tina Lingard in the community, and had a $3,000 grant this year. And they've taken on a project together, as the two classes working together, where they started out with some field studies down in the flats, looking at some birds, and they've taken that now and extended it across curricular. So they, pictures are going pretty quick here, but they've learned some art strategies with it. They're using it in their writing. They were all taking notes and doing scientific studies. There's a photo there right at the end. They're building bird boxes, so talking about volumes and sizes and measurements. It's just been an outstanding project, and I'm really proud of the initiative that they took on that this year. Let's try and keep. Another project that the grade 3-4 class is just moving into is more to study presentations and learn about, you know, the process more than the actual topic. But Amber Thompson has left the topic wide open for the kids. So I just have a couple little clips here of what the kids are expecting to learn from this project. That that'll just be interesting to. This one, I think. I'm going to play with the volume here, sorry. Uh-oh.
There you go.
Okay, and what kinds of questions have you got about the Roman Empire?
I want to know why Julius Caesar was killed. The Senate to architecture. Why they had slaves. And all this other stuff I couldn't really get all the time.
Any idea about what you're going to do for your for the final presentation? Have you got any ideas yet on that, or are you just going to see where you go?
Well, I'm interested in doing PowerPoints and maybe making a brochure.
Cool, thank you.
I'm Cooper and I am in grade 3 and I'm doing vector leaks
Yes.
for my curiosity project.
Okay, and what made you choose that as your topic?
I like hockey.
Good reason? Yeah.
I think that just really shows that when you open the doors for kids, it really does, and I'll talk a little bit later on about enthusiasm for learning. And I think, you know, when you're trying to get your achievement up, they have to be enthusiastic about what they're doing. And I think a project like this just really demonstrates that. So obviously, and as you've seen in our school growth plan, we're always tracking our success. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time this evening going through data because we are a little early in the year, so I don't have a whole heck of a lot. But just to give you an idea, sort of some of the more current data. So here is our PM benchmark. So that this is a reading assessment we do with our primary students. First 4 bars are grade 1s, grade 2s, then grade 3s, and the red and the blue is our assessments in the fall. And the yellow and the green, if I'm getting my colors right, is our winter assessments. If you remember last fall, we talked a little bit about one of our focuses this year has been on the difference between our readers, particularly when it comes to gender. And here we go. For the most part, our grade 2s are a little bit of an anomaly for us at the moment. But if you look at our grade 1s, very strongly demonstrates the difference between boys and girls and their level of reading. I'm very pleased to see at grade 3, which is our ultimate goal is to have all students reading by grade level at grade 3. And we've got a wonderful group of grade 3 students that are really strong right now, but it's really where we want to be. Next chart again is our GORT, so this is our intermediate students, so this is assessment for reading fluency. But again, you can, blue being the boys and the red being the girls. Again, you can demonstrate the difference that we're seeing between the boys and the girls. So we're continuing to focus on that this year. We have an in-school assessment that we were using. So this is our fall results because we haven't done our spring results yet. One is on a whole language assessment, so it assesses a variety of things. And the second column there is a writing assessment that we do. So we're pleased to see that over 90% of our kids are again meeting grade level at grade 5, 6, and 7. So back into our next area is respect. And respect falls under everything that we do here at the school. Respect for one another, respect for our learning, etc. One of the things that I know Mike has already highlighted at one of our board meetings, but we really had a big focus around respect and empathy for one another during anti-bullying week. So I think highlighted before, but what we did is a few days before the big Wednesday Pink Shirt Day, we had students write a note to another student, one of their buddy students. And that morning on Pink Shirt Day, we put them all around on all the desks for each of the students so they came in. Later that day, I went around and took a photo of each of the students with their little, kindness notes, as we call them. And what I really wanted to emphasize with the students is how that saying something kind to somebody makes them feel. So in the photos, we had a little slideshow that day in the gym, and I just taken a short clip of that video, and I just better turn this down or I'll blast you out. Just to give you a little bit of a sense, really, what the kids saw and the impact that they had on one another.
As he rises up, friends like you, they last forever. And everybody's singing, ooh, through the good or the bad and the bad. We'll find our way, no matter what. We can dance, we can stay out, whatever. We'll fall in love, singing, ooh, let's go west down the river, or we could fly from the highway. Throw our hands to the sky.
So that's just a shortened version of what the school population saw, because every one of the students was up on the big screen in the gym. What are the kids telling us around that? Well, one of the questions that I feel around respect is the important question for me out of our satisfaction survey, which we just completed in the last few weeks, is do you feel welcome at your school? And essentially 90% or more are feeling welcome. I think is an outstanding statistic. Again, love to see that 100% across the board. How many adults at your school care about you? So just to clarify, the first question is when the kids respond all the time or many times. So all the time is daily. Many times is at least once or twice a week. It's kind of how we describe it for the students. How many adults at your school care about you? That's the number of students who respond with 2 or more adults. So we have, again, 90% or essentially 100% across the board. And as we're constantly talking about connections with adults is so key to ensuring that kids have somebody that they can talk to, that they can relate to, and that they can respect. At school, do you respect people who are different from you? And again, it's never been an issue at our school. We do have a fairly, what I'd call a monoculture, but students really do have empathy and understanding for one another. So our next area is enthusiasm. As we all know, if kids aren't enthusiastic about what they do or what they're doing, they're not going to learn. And I think that's really key. And so we really want to, we work hard to celebrate everything that we do here. And one of the key ways that we do that, again, is through video clips in our assemblies. Just virtually every assembly that we have the slideshow. And it's always the last thing in the thing in our assemblies. And when our student leaders announce it, it's always with great excitement. It's time for the slideshow. The kids really love seeing themselves up on the screen, but more importantly, I love seeing the kids enjoy seeing themselves having fun at learning, because I think we really have to keep reminding them and reinforcing with them that this is a great place to be. They know that, but sometimes they need to see that. So we do that with our slideshows. So here is a few little snippets of some of our slideshows that we
No, this man's coming in the room. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make a change. Na, 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 na. We could be
walk like they used to before. And I can't sweep you off of your feet. Will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheek? Darling,
That was put in
I'm
on purpose, it just had to be part of it.
loving you.
We need to increase your security system around here.
And baby, my
You can also get a real sense of the variety of things that are really good. And that's the other thing that we're really trying to celebrate with the kids is many of their activities.
I'm thinking about how people fall in love in mysterious ways. Maybe just the touch of a hand.
All of our slideshows are put to music, and depending on what we're working on and the theme kind of at the time, I usually try and search through the internet looking for songs that really apply to what we're working on. Or sometimes we just want to have a popular song that's really fun.
Something's in the air, something's in the air. It's like that feeling when you're just about to kill it. Take your last shot, you know you're gonna hit it. Something's in the air, something's in the air. Whoa. Something big, I feel it happening out of my control. Pushing, pulling, and it's grabbing me. Feel it in my bones like oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Something big, I feel it happening.
It just gives you a little sense of what the kids are seeing on a regular basis. So what are the students telling us about how they're feeling about their enthusiasm around school? Well, do you like school? Again, we're in the, for the most part, the 90+ range. Our grade 4s, we'll work with them a little bit. It was quite interesting when I was showing some stats to the students that many areas at grade 4, we see a little bit of a dip. But, just the kids sort of said, well, that's a change though. Like, we moved from primary to intermediate and the expectations are a little higher and really helps understand all of a sudden they're working a little bit harder. Do you like what you're learning at school? It's not as high as I would like to see, so we'll be sharing this with staff, but again, I'm still very proud of those results. I was absolutely so pleased, because that grade 7 year is always a tough year for kids.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and 100% is just outstanding. Yeah. So our last area in our code of conduct, or our little school phrase, is around safety. And safety embodies a whole number of things in a school, as far as I'm concerned. Your personal safety, your safety with others, our kids being kind to you. I also really feel safety really well defines our goal around student well-being, because students need to feel they're in a safe learning environment, but they also have to feel good about themselves. So what are they? And one of the things that I was hoping would have to present with you is some of our MDI results, but unfortunately they're just not quite ready yet. So I'm relying a little bit around the satisfaction survey. Usually we compare the two, just to get a sense. So talking about health, personal health at school, are you learning how to stay healthy? Grade 4s and grade 7s, a bit of a dip there, so I'll probably be doing some bit more investigation. Again, these are hot off the press, so we really haven't investigated into these and really studied them to figure out why some kids responded in some of these ways and what we can do to help them. It's always nice to know we have work to do. Do your teachers and staff support healthy behavior? Very high, those two conflict a little bit. So we'll try and figure that one out as well as we're working through things. Do you feel safe at school? And when we're talking about that question, when we're doing a satisfaction survey, I remind the students that it's around the whole area of personal safety. Is this a place you enjoy coming to? The whole bullying issues, all of those come into question when kids are answering this question. But again, overall, I'm very pleased with our results. Grade 6, with a little bit of analysis and a bit of questioning, I think I know where some of that response would be coming from, but we'll investigate that just to be sure. Just around our whole student well-being, we really have incorporated, and I've highlighted a little bit in my written report, a whole number of activities around the school this year, including yoga. A number of our teachers are using yoga just for a little bit of self-awareness, for self-regulation, just so that when students are, working on some of the more harder skills, math, language arts, etc., they're well-grounded, they're ready to learn. So it's been a really nice addition. So just to end, we really want to say to all of our community partners, including the school board, we really do appreciate the support you provide us. Makes our job easier, but as I said, I've got the easiest job around because I work with such great people. So thank you.
Thanks,
I'll
Todd.
take any questions.
Sure.
Yep. Okay, thanks, Todd. First of all, for trustees, any questions or comments for Todd? Yep.
Surprised with the reference.
Well, as I say, Jeff, it's a bit, we're a little bit early for this time of year. Because I know you'd all read my school growth plan in the fall, so I didn't have a lot of new information in some of those areas. So I just thought I'd take a little bit different, rather than copy and paste last year's report, which I've come close to doing in the past, I thought I'd take a little different approach. And I was saying to Mike, in doing this each year, I want to try and learn something. So I took a template this year and played around with a little template. Same with some of the video editing and stuff. I haven't done a lot of that. So if I'm going to spend some time, I might as well learn from it while I'm doing it.
Bill?
Thank you, Todd. I thought that was really good. The presentation report was really good too. I liked that there wasn't so much static. Because it's just the way our brains work.
Yeah.
But just coming back, or high school takes me back to 1979 when the school opened, right? It was 79 when we built the school. I was in 104, for 11 years. But, so yeah, good memories here. But I just want to thank you, and also please pass it on to the staff and to the students. What a great job they do at school. You'll remember at the strategic planning meeting the other day, we had the discussion about joy and passion. You could see it here.
And I had that in mind as it's pretty
Yeah, I'd just like to thank you too for really dynamic presentation and report. And it looks as if you're having a lot of fun and so are your students.
We are.
Todd and I talk quite a bit, so thanks and appreciation along already. No, we don't have too much information, Jeff. It's not good.
It's all part of the whole, meet and greet.
Mike? Yeah, for sure. Todd, thanks very much for changing the format. The principals each year, and I've been here for a long time, so I know this discussion takes place annually. Saying, a lot of work goes into that annual report, and then actually what happens with it. And then, although we've always enjoyed reporting to the board, it's a balance of question of the amount of work goes into what. And so the discussion, and Todd, you led this discussion with the principals at our last session where we talked about how we're going to revisit this year. And then it was exactly this. This is a document you can set in your front office, be really proud of. When somebody walks in, says a new family to the school district, and just to be able to share around, because it really nicely highlights what you shared with us there. And echoing the comments that you and your staff and your students are just doing an outstanding job of maintaining a real high level of energy in a small school environment. And it does not have a small school feel in the way that the things you're offering. It has a small school feel in the relationships that you're developing. So congratulations, and as Bill said, we want to pass along to the staff and students. We're certainly really impressed.
Thank you.
And the parents.
Yeah, the parents.
Thank you.
There's some sitting behind you.
Not you.
I looked over there and went,
Not you.
Thanks very much, Todd. That was it's a nice feature having the tour beforehand, the slideshow, and the report. And like I said earlier, I can attest to what a great school this is.
Well, and it's really nice having you come to our sites.
Yeah, this is a good idea. It's nice to get this out here, for sure. Mind you, we're going to have a little bit of difficulty getting done before you're back.
That's okay, we can
cancel it. Before you're out, that's right. Let's go on. Okay.
Thanks for
Thanks a lot,
coming.
Todd. Okay, so next we go to the superintendent's report. Mike, any items you'd like to highlight? Sure, I'll highlight some, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I just, starting with item number 4, just as a reminder, I recently met with Sean Burke, our district counselor, reviewing protocols related to student safety, and it kind of ties in a little bit with some of the themes of what Todd was presenting. But we do maintain a whole wide variety of administrative protocols around critical incidents, around responses to student needs and concerns, and in regular intervals, we go back and review those protocols to make sure that as district staff, we approach those things with a whole child view in mind. Item number 10, just to congratulate, and Leslie's been involved in this work from the beginning, but Ariel McDowell, in her capacity as district principal, is doing just an outstanding job of leading a very high-energy Aboriginal support Aboriginal Education Committee through the process of revisiting our enhancement agreement. She's keeping in close contact with Colleen Hanna, who is a director in the Aboriginal Student Services Ministry of Education branch. And actually, Colleen's going to join us on our May 7th event, and that date is not in here, but I think it might be in the minutes, and it's coming to you in any event. Our next big event is set up for May the 8th, 9th, and it looks like it's going to get moved down back to 7th, so there is another one on the go. Down to item number 15. A significant amount of dollars contributed this year through the Healthy Living grants, school readiness grants, health and wellness grants, Viva Sport Local, actually in excess of about $12,000 in a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, roughly 10 different grants that me and Zoo, along with the school principals, put pen to paper and got going on some of the grant proposals through there, and we're very successful in supporting everything from the alternate program at the high school, some additional resources for the foods and nutrition class at the high school, the breakfast program at View, the Healthy Living grant here in this school, and it's Columbia Park Elementary to the Action Schools grant. So a lot of extra resources coming in, and I know that there was a substantial amount of work that went in at the school level to get those grants prepared and secure the funding, which is meeting our goals of health and wellness. Over the page, just highlight item number 24 that Alan and myself and Tracy Spanier are preparing to present to the BCSDA this Friday, the annual general meeting of the BC School Trustees Association. And it was nice having Geoff Battersby here talking about the importance of those partnerships. There's a nice clip of Geoff actually in our presentation talking about the partnerships that exist in the community and the power of those partnerships. And that is the theme of the talk, actually, the presentation that we're giving. And it's a great topic to be able to share from Revelstoke because we just have so many stories of partnership success. In terms of partnerships, item number 25, and this is really early stages, but we are in the process right now of the college folks, Rob Kilsgard and a chef by the name of Jeffrey Cooper, who runs the Okanagan College courses in Kelowna, will be in Revelstoke on Wednesday meeting with staff, looking at the possibility of a culinary arts program that would run out of the high school, do a credit joint program, making use of that excellent facility that we have in the kitchen in the high school, which is quite underused right now. So we're kind of excited about the possibility of that and get that discussion started. Down at the bottom of the page, item number 35, parkour is coming to Revelstoke. I'm pretty excited. They've been talking, Megan Chandro, through her work with Youth Initiatives Committee, first got onto this, and there's two very eager students, young people from Nicusk that started a club in Nicusk. And by all accounts, I've talked to the superintendent in Nicusk and how impressed she was with what that program brought to youth. And you know that if we had any damage to our schools, Bruce, you just recently did with that. Talked to Andy Dawes about this. If we've had any damage through the winter, it's from kids setting up impromptu jumps and stuff, and then going, oops, like we're actually bouncing off the gym wall, and yeah, we didn't realize we were damaging it. And this is controlled, and that is great stuff. That's a great kind of damage. You're going to have damage, but this is going to be exciting for our students. It's certainly a very apt that we were communicating with schools protection grants, saying, can we do this safely at school? And absolutely we can, and it provides an opportunity for students to push themselves. Item number 37. Just wanted to highlight we had a visit from Denise Butler from the Child and Youth Mental Health and Substance Use Collaborative, which is based out of Kelowna. And she came up to talk to our Youth and Mental Health Awareness Substance Use Committee about the opportunities around the collaborative. And generally speaking, the other communities that got on with this have had to start from the ground floor. And there is some funding involved, and there's some she came up and talked to our committee, and then interacted with the committee a fair bit to see what was going on already in Revelstoke, and left saying, like, you're already running a collaborative, so you just put these pieces together for me, and there won't be there's not a proposal process. We are operating under a collaborative already through that work, which is, again, due to partnerships in Revelstoke and that ability to engage in community partners. So that's going to move ahead, and that will result in additional dollars in our addressing mental health and substance use services and supports in Revelstoke. Yeah, I'm doing quite a few. Maybe there will be fewer questions, but I think there's lots of good stuff in here right now to let you know about. Item number 39. I did a review with the high school, the Leave Out Violence Education Society media presentations, which are going to be upcoming, and I will continue to send out dates for you so you can get involved in that. The last couple of years, the Love Facilitator comes up, works with the high school students around a particular topic, and they put together a multimedia presentation, which then they present back to students, and it involves our students, and it's their creativity around the project. And then, generally speaking, did last year more in grade 7s come up here as well? I think we've been in 6 or 7s. Yeah, anyway, it does involve our intermediate students, and they're up at the theater, so that once again is happening. I'm going to jump down a little bit to number 43, just to remind you of the mentoring mentee relationship that's taking place right now with 19 of our staff. One of our pairs is paired with a teacher in Salmon Arm, due to being a Woodshop teacher. And those mentors, mentees have met on numerous occasions throughout the year, 4 formal all-day times to work together, and then in addition to a whole lot of informal time. And we're just doing a little bit of a review to see where they're at now, because we're in the spring, and they've had their 2nd, 3rd, and some of them actually their 4th session together. And by all accounts, that's been very, very, very well received in spring. Jerome would remind that was a bit of a grant through BCTF, actually substantial grant through the BCTF and UBC teacher training program that we applied for last year, and was successful getting, which resulted in about 40 days of release time, which is a substantial amount of release time. Item number 48, I'm getting to the end of what I wanted to highlight. At the time of putting this together, I had a telephone conference with Dr. Mark Holder, who is an associate professor and does a lot of work around the UBC and does a lot of work around the science of happiness. His name was brought forward to me by Stacy Grimm from the Pro-D chair, who is the Pro-D chair of our RTA, and suggesting that the work of Mark Holder really dovetailed very nicely with our work around social emotional health and wellness. And I did, after talking to Mark, I was able to stop and meet with him on Friday afternoon coming back from Kelowna, meeting with Alan and I were at, and had a nice interview, chat with him. He's an extremely popular speaker. He's very expensive. We talked a lot about Revelstoke, and he said, cards on the table, I'm losing all my bargaining power because I'm an avid skier. I like mountain biking, and I love what you're doing around social emotional health and wellness, and I'd like to get involved and figure out how we can partner up. And I would liken it, I described the relationship that we have with Kim Schonherd-Reichel through the Human Early Learning Partnership, and how that support really helped us with our work around the MDI, and I described that, and Mark's very interested in getting engaged with Revelstoke. Feels like it's an opportunity for him in his work as well. He's written about the science of happiness, and has a nice TEDx, actually from TEDx Kelowna, on some of his work around happiness. And I'm looking forward to that opportunity to have him up, certainly on our school planning day. And then Stacy Grimm, in her capacity, is looking at what else he might be doing, teachers' requests for all of our staff. And I'll finish off just with on number 54, just to note that Kevin Dorius, as the general manager of Community Teachers, has been himself actually delivering the Junior Achievement Program at Columbia Park Elementary, and he came to meet with me to talk about and share the project and the project materials, and talk about getting into both Arrow Heights Elementary and Lakeview and the high school, which actually there has been a little bit of the achievement program running out of there, and it's just outstanding resources and real world content and around budget and business formation. I think that it's going to be quite well received. So that was a worthwhile time spent with him. Okay. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, questions?
Questions or comments for Mike? Leslie?
Well, thank you. You've actually addressed all the items that I have marked here, except
well, you
one.
You and I picked the best
except
ones.
one, we did.
Yeah.
Item number 32, you met with a couple of with the high school principal and vice principal about staffing levels for next year. Are there changes?
There will be, actually, and look at this, I did actually highlight that one, and I skipped over it. 'cause
Hey, great minds.
We really did the same things. Yeah.
Yeah, very significant changes.
No, enrollment related mostly, because the school is getting slightly smaller. And so what the process we're going through right now is looking at the block count, and we're protecting those, we're making sure that we are protecting the course offerings.
Right.
And then also with consideration to what teachers are coming and going to, because there's some leaves, both maternity leaves coming out and people coming back, so that's the kind of what we're engaging in.
So do we ever hear about the details of that, or is that a separate thing from what the board learns about?
You mean in terms of the course selection work?
Yeah, yeah.
We'll get a report in
Yeah.
terms of the class size.
Yeah, you
Oh,
get
okay.
and you get a report, that would describe the size of the First Nations 12 class, for example, and the
Yeah.
number of Chem 12, and so that whole gamut,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Any other questions or comments? Alvin?
Just wondering, 35, parkour?
Yes.
What's the ages of the students like?
It is all ages, but I think that specifically this one is going to be targeting grade 5 and up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Number 2, the FSA tests.
Mhm.
Just wondering how that's going to possibly kids do and maybe the participation rate.
Yeah, I will get you, so what we've done right now is sent it in, so I don't have, as Todd was saying, we don't have full data back yet on, we've got individual student results, so we haven't rolled that into an aggregate yet, but in general terms, our participation rate remained almost the same as last year, and that is down over a number of years, but still actually well above what has been the provincial average, and this year remains to be seen.
I'll just add a couple comments. On number 26, the entire board and Mike and Bruce had a conference call with our MLA, Norm McDonald, and all school districts in the province are very concerned about our budget situations. We've had targeted administrative savings on us, and then we've also had a lot of unfunded statutory increases such as medical services premiums, et cetera, utility costs. And so what school boards across the province are doing is working with the MLAs in terms of trying to get the message across that there needs to be more funding for education. So I think we felt quite good with our conversation with Norm, and we know that he's going to be advocating on our behalf. On number 27, we had 5 of us actually from Revelstoke attend the Early Years Forum in Vancouver. I actually went as a representative of the BC School Trustees Association. And this is a new ministry initiative, and there was 12 centers selected. Well, everybody applied for them, and they picked 12 to have an early years project. Revelstoke is one of them, and it provides us with funding in the neighborhood of $52,000 a year for 4 years. And it was a very interesting, and then since then they've expanded to a few more communities, but it was an interesting forum, and I think what they're basically trying to, what they're finding out is that if you look at children prior to entering school, there's real wide disparity around the province in terms of how children receive services and what services they receive. And what they wanted to do is have a dialogue on how we can get sort of more equity so that, to be quite blunt, so that more communities can be like Revelstoke in terms of how we provide services for young children. So it was a very interesting forum, and Cooper was on the planning for this event, and then Mike and I attended along with Tracy Spander and Linda Chell. And then the last one just to comment on is number 52, and Mike will have it in his report next time, but Mike and I went to a meeting in West Kelowna this past Friday, and it was convened by the Minister of Education, and all the boards from the region were invited to attend along with people from the business community, and basically just talking about changes coming about through the BC Ed Plan and engaging schools and communities. So I think it was a worthwhile event, and then what the intent is to try to take this format and then bring it more into the individual communities. So Mike and I were both there on Friday. So that's my comments. So thanks very much, Mike. And next we'll move on to policy 6.3.
Okay. So there is a recommendation around the policy 6.3 staff wellbeing, safety, and accident prevention. And you'll recall this came to you back in February 4th. At that time, we said policy review committee felt it was ready to go to the system. There has not been any feedback on it, which is not surprising. It received really only housekeeping changes, but it is there for your consideration and recommendation.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve, moved by Bill, second by Leslie. Discussion. I see elsewhere, Bill, that your committee's gone through these policies. And, any discussion? If not, all those in favor? Carried. And next is on policy 5.6, sexual orientation and gender identity policy.
Great, yeah, and once again, trustees are aware that we've been working our way through this, the creation of a brand new policy, noting in here that we have drawn on a variety of other sources to come up with some of the language around that policy, and then getting new feedback. Unlike probably other policies, we've been really sending it out far and wide, in terms of trying to make sure that every group with safe spaces and any group that's willing to have a look at it gives us some feedback. So it is important, I believe, that it's widely understood, and it's going to be a piece of work that is good for our overall health and well-being of our students. So it needs to be fully understood and developed. So it is at this point going out the system formally for feedback.
So this motion is for circulation, moved by Bill, second by Geoff. Any discussion? Leslie?
I have a few comments about the draft that we've been given, and rather than raise them here, I could just pass them on to the committee.
Yes,
There's
you could,
one
yeah.
comma, there's one spelling issue. It's heterosexual,
Yeah.
H-E-T-E-R.
Sure. So,
And
Bill's-
then there are a couple of other comments, one about the definition of the word gay, and another about the statement on sex and gender, which I think needs to be expanded. But gay is used also with respect to women. It's not, it says here it's primarily used in reference to men. In my experience, that's not true at all.
Well, just if I can respond to that.
Yes.
That new word, that's actually new wording, because we had the same comment brought back to us in the original wording on that, basically only referred to men. And so that's why it now says someone of the same sex and or gender as themselves, so they're attracted, right? So that first sentence covers that off, but it still is primarily used in reference to men.
I actually
And
disagree with that.
It came from one group, I forgot now.
Yeah, that came from Safe Spaces through the social development committee, and
So we're at
so this is good.
This is good
feedback,
because
yeah.
we're at the stage where it's not going out for circulation for anybody to offer feedback. And my suggestion, Leslie, would be is if you can give those comments in writing to Bill as chair of the committee, then that would go back to the committee in terms of your suggestions for revisions.
Right, I will do that right now.
Because now you've got more paying attention to do.
No, I'll just
You
give
can do your
it.
homework afterwards.
I'll just give it to him now. I've already done it. I've already written it on those papers.
This is good, and this is an interesting point that just to share, because we believe that this policy is going to be in front of the board a fair bit, because these terms are changing as we speak, and this is the information we've been given, is that they're developing and evolving, and so we are going to be continually coming back to them, because they're, in fact, and as an example, there is a heterosexism as opposed to heterosexual. So like the evolution of this is going to continue to come to us, and it's going to help actually bring more understanding. So thanks very much for pointing some of them out, and we'll keep going at it.
Okay.
And I think this issue is one where boards around the province are sort of late getting to the stage of adopting policies, and it's something that's shown as an area that we all have some work to do, and with the basic concept being that we want all students to feel welcome and safe at schools. And so this is a very good start by the committee. I know we've had lots of discussion, looking for feedback, and then we'll come back to us.
Thank you. Yeah.
So basically, we've had it moved and seconded to have this circulated. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now, the next item is for banking services, and Geoff, I'm going to ask you to take over as chair. Bill and I are both on the board of the credit union, so we're in a conflict of interest, so we'll leave, and you can sit down there, and just please remember to call us back this time.
And remember to come back to vote.
Stay out of the staff room, you can't have any of the cake.
We're going to be real quick.
Okay, Bruce, do you have any comments on this?
No, I think the memo, Chair, covers it for clearly unless there's any questions, or make the recommendations for Helen.
Yes, sure, yeah, I'll move.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right.
You can stretch this out a little bit.
Yeah.
Wait faster.
Go ahead,
Go on, you're still chairperson, come on.
That's right, keep going.
Yeah, let's do carbon neutral while they're going, get it done.
I was finished at the end of March.
Oh, were you? Well, that's my fault. Yeah.
Oh, oh, who's
Wasn't
supposed
too
to,
onerous.
who's this supposed to be now? Oh, I see.
I thought I was,
We'll give him an extra month. It's July and August.
You must be doing a good job, Jeff. Keep chairing this meeting.
Oh, yeah.
We should have just had you plug your ears, actually. Keep your plug your ears.
Okay, next, we have the 2015-2016 Carbon Neutral Capital Program. Bruce?
Again, I think the memo covers off the details. We are hoping to either tender before the end of April, with that closing by late May, and expecting to come in within budget. We don't have a lot of flex left in our admin facility grant, given that's going to the next generation network. So again, if there's questions, we have two priorities identified, and we've got one, so we'll attack the next one next year.
So we're looking for a motion to give first, second, and third reading to capital projects bylaw in the amount of $366,000. Moved by Bill, and second by Elmer. Any further discussion? Jeff?
Just wondered, do you expect that greater efficiency in heating that school as a result of this?
There will be some efficiencies energy-wise that will reduce our carbon footprint. As much as anything else, what we started to have though is issues with maintenance, in that the unit, this was actually our second priority that we received approval for. But the principal said, well, every 2 weeks we've got a unit going down. I need some repair, whether it's minor or major, so this will should increase the comfort level. And what it will do is it will use a little more reliance on other factors, as we air source pumps.
This is one of our advantages of being a small district and having two in the high school. Maybe do is that Carroll Heights and Columbia Park can basically go back and forth in terms of the improvements.
For a couple of years.
For a couple of years, yeah.
And just note too that this grant is roughly twice what we actually thought it would be. And credit to Bruce for applying for it in such a way that they get it approved. Probably twice what we were actually entitled to in terms of what we're actually paying into that the CNCB. So nice job. Thanks. Yeah.
All those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Bruce. Next, we go to committee reports. And the first one is the early years center steering committee. And I was supposed to be on that, but I had another meeting that day. And so Mike, if you can just give me the highlights.
Yeah, just to let you know that normally we'll find the early years center minutes attached to the actual committee committee where you're actually sitting on, which is the early childhood development committee. So beyond that, this is a little bit of a review of where we have been, and if you've got any questions about it, we'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, just for your information.
And just earlier today, we had an early childhood development committee meeting, and they've actually supplied their work plan for the year, so that's good to see. Okay, next we have the Performing Arts Center Advisory Committee meeting, and once again, I was derelict, and I had another conflict that day.
Yeah.
And so I'll ask Mike again.
However,
yeah,
it was the first one you missed, and we did have two choices of dates, and Jeanette and I just conspired to have you actually miss one. He never misses this meeting. I just highlight a couple. First off, on the first page, we are reviewing the current fee guidelines, and Jeff, you had a couple of questions around some of that, and just to remind trustees of where we came from with the Arts Council and our arrangement with Miriam Manley providing theater manager role. Our commitment from the beginning was the theater was not to take K to $12 to run that facility. And so we needed to pick a number that we felt would be our cost recovery, which we did in conjunction with Revelstoke Arts Council, and in such a way to make sure that it was going to be a successful venture for the community as well. So we continue to review that, and one of the reviews was the fee guideline. Miriam had some very specific input in terms of how she could maximize some of the funding, or some of the revenue she was experiencing without detracting from community involvement, without turning any impacts away. So that's the first piece in the fee guidelines to look after. And then the second piece, and then jump into the questions I have on that. The second piece is just under the manager's report, just to note the total number of events to this point, when she was reporting 125 with 15,000 discrete visits. And if looking back up, and if I don't say it, Ellen will, noting the number of times that Miriam pointed out the performances that would have not come to an old venue and to any other venue in Revelstoke, and came specifically because we do have this venue. And of those professional acts, a substantial number of those fall in that category, and clearly have brought another level of culture to Revelstoke, I suppose, if you will.
One of the things when we were planning the facility is that we really wanted to capitalize on our geographic location, and we knew that there's an awful lot of performing groups that travel on the road between Calgary and Vancouver, and so we have been actively marketing this. We're a good stop-off spot, and all the groups that come here, in fact, like the Kamloops Symphony said, we're the best acoustical facility they've played in. And so we've got a great facility, and what we're finding is a lot of groups are now making Revelstoke stop off if they're going, say, from Calgary to Vancouver.
Well, just on the acoustics, I attended the wardens, the retired park wardens from now, at a concert, and actually one of them was sort of spontaneous. The great acoustics, how's it up for you guys?
Yeah.
The audience also was great. But anyway, the first meeting I attended, and anyway, there were some budget pressures that became very responsible. Like, I think she was paid, salary was paid by the CBD. CBD,
yes.
And now it's been 3 years, and I think that's probably going to run out. Or usually a 3-year.
I think they weren't assured of future funding, and they're still applying.
Yeah. And so, anyway, also they'd applied for an infrastructure grant, Revenue Acre, that there was a recommendation to City Council from the Tourism Infrastructure Advisory Committee to approve 25,000. But that is for infrastructure. It's for the lobby and those kind of things. Anyway, I thought it's been going now for 3 years, and it might be a time to kind of review the funding. Is there enough taken out of it, or is it maybe too much?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple things, and first of all, I would very much give the main credit to the success to Miriam. She's just doing an outstanding job, and the Arts Council has been incredibly supportive in terms of the working arrangement that we have. And the other thing is that we're showing some flexibility as a school district, because as Mike said, we're not to use K-12, but on the other hand, we're using it, so we should pay some of our share in terms of the cost of the facility. So Miriam's happy. I think everybody's happy with the way it's working. The problem is that there's no long-term sustainable funding guaranteed, and that's what's being worked on right now. And but I think it's exceeded all of our expectations. But it is always, and we did have I think last year we did a review after the first 2 years, where we sat down and had a very detailed what's working well, what could be changed, and so it's something that we'll continue to do. But the biggest challenge is the sustainable funding.
One could be, say, final facilities, maybe other.
Sure, sure, because we can do a report in terms of, we're now, one of the problems was that it took a while to be able to identify what is it costing in terms of some of our utility custodial costs, and we're probably in a better situation to be coming with a better estimate as to what that's. And the other thing that's happening, and again, give credit, is that there hasn't been a lot of problems in terms of if something needs purchased, somebody does it. And it's not a matter of having a big debate as to, well, that's $300, that should be a capital, you should pay. People are just making sure it works. Yeah. But we get a bit of report in terms of the finances, finance and facilities.
I just wonder if it would be appropriate for the board to write a letter of thanks to Miriam at this point.
Sure. I'll take that as a motion. Seconded. Bill, discussion, again, she's just doing a fantastic job. All those in favor?
They do.
Thank you.
Copy the Arts Council.
Yep. Okay. So any other questions on the Arts Center Advisory Committee? Okay, so then, Bill, we go to Policy Review Committee minutes of March 30th.
Thank you very much, Alan. So these are the minutes of our last meeting, it's on March 30th, and the two items that we dealt with. The first one is the sexual orientation and gender identities, which we just now gave a motion to move that to being circulated through the system. We also talked about the issue of policy 2.1, the procedural bylaw regarding delegations, and the note in the minutes there. The point of us looking at that is to ensure positive communication between the public and the board, and we actually had a number of examples of what other boards do, and we looked at them and had various suggestions about how some of the wording could be incorporated into that, so we'll take another look at that at the next meeting, which is April 27th. So I move those be received.
Okay, seconded by Homer. Discussion, all in favor? Carried. And next we go to the District Parent Advisory Council meeting minutes of April 1st. Leslie, is there any items you'd like to highlight?
Oh, yes, thank you. Well, the meeting was on April 1st, so the tone of the meeting was quite lighthearted. We heard about booty shorts at Begbie View and gang warfare at Columbia Park, all of which seem to be in part April 1st jokes. We were given a poster for the Asking Adults April 27th free walk-in presentation. I think that poster has been pretty widely circulated at this point. We had a Pink Shirt Day newsletter distributed. The calendar with the 2-week spring break was the next thing we discussed, and there was general acceptance of that from the DPAC members. Mike Hooker asked the DPAC members if there was anybody who would be interested in working with the board's strategic planning committee. And it was mentioned that the timing of that meeting, which is scheduled for 3 p.m. on a week tomorrow, 21st, is difficult. So it was decided that if no DPAC member can in fact come to that meeting, then we will report back to the next DPAC meeting with information about what's going on there, and hopefully plan the next meeting for a time that might be easier for some of the parents to actually attend. So we have to pay attention to that timing of meetings. There were some reports from each of the schools. Janet DeLaSalle from Arrow Heights reported on the Spring Festival and upcoming jump rope for Heart Day. BVE Sports Day, and a discussion of a possible ban on cell phones at that school. So we're all waiting to hear whether or not that is going to be possible. I guess it's the principal who will either ban cell phones or not. It seemed difficult to do. And BVE also raised the issue of booty shorts, which the principal declared as inappropriate for being too short for even some elementary school girls to wear to school. From Columbia Park, notice of a Green Thumb Theater production upcoming at a free lunch. And from RSS, Kathleen Bush mentioned the June 12th evening grad, a barbecue lunch to be held in conjunction with grad, a new motorcycle stand, and fine-tuning to the curriculum for next year. But the very best news from RSS was that in the provincial exam results, data shows that Revelstoke students attained grades that are 4 to 7% above the provincial average. So that was really wonderful news. And that was it for DPAC.
And I'll take a motion to receive your report, seconded by Jeff. Discussion. Thank you, Leslie. All in favor? Carried.
Bill, Can I have a comment on that? My name is put there as having attended that meeting, but I wasn't there.
Oh, in the minutes.
Yeah, I don't think Marty Sternick was there either. Janet Delassalle attended
Okay.
on behalf of the AAC.
Okay,
Thanks, Fran.
thanks, we'll correct that.
I got the results. but-
Yeah, that's great. And next, we have the Aboriginal education, and anything you'd like to highlight there, Leslie?
Oh, yeah, a couple of things. Let's see. First of all, Ariel did a presentation on some resources, and we had a discussion about how to access resources. She's working on a catalog for Aboriginal source material to be available, the catalog to be available to all teachers in the district. She also is Ariel is also putting together a student and parent survey with SurveyMonkey, an on-web sort of survey thing that you're probably all familiar with. The construction of this survey is underway, and we will hear more about this in the near future. Lisa Kinsella-Sykes talked about the Medicine Wheel project, which she says is moving very slowly, but she's actually pleased about that. And generally speaking, the comment was that it was a good idea before moving forward any more with it, to make sure that there is a lot of time spent choosing the site, discussing light angles, discussing use of the site, etc. So it's on track, but it's going quite slowly. On the other hand, the Sturgeon-Nosed Canoe Project, which involves high school students building a sturgeon-nosed canoe with a chap whose name is Wayne Louie, a Tunaha man who runs actually a project building canoes. And he is coming sometime during the first 2 weeks of May. The project is expected to take a week or two to complete, and that is underway. The big topic, of course, is the enhancement agreement. And Mike mentioned before that Ariel has met with Colleen Hanna, and Colleen Hanna is coming to Revelstoke to take part in some of these discussions. But the real outcome of Ariel's discussion with Colleen was that the deadline of June 30th for the enhancement agreement is very arbitrary. Colleen insisted that we not rush through this, that it's much better to take more time, to even a couple of years, to come up with a really good agreement rather than rush through simply to meet that deadline. So I thought that was probably the most important aspect of the whole thing. Now, the next, after we did have one meeting last week, and there's a planning sort of ad hoc work group committee. The plan was to meet tomorrow afternoon. I haven't had any confirmation yet that that meeting's going ahead. I'm hoping to, because it's supposed to be at my house. But I think it is going ahead, and that is to plan a pizza supper for May 7th, I believe it is. We had students, high school students, and 4 grade 7 students from Columbia Park at our meeting last week. And it was actually one of the grade 7 students who suggested that a pizza supper might bring parents out, because the committee feels very strongly that working towards this enhancement agreement, we really need parental involvement. And the parents seem so far to be quite kind of a little reluctant to come out to meetings. The timing was mentioned as one of the problems, that 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon is difficult for some parents. And so, or in the middle of the day was difficult for working parents. So again, the suggestion was that supper time would be better, and we're trying to have some sort of an attraction at that meeting to sort of beef up the evening a little bit. And right now I think Ariel is investigating a drumming group from Kelowna to come and take part in that.
And do you also like to move to see these minutes?
Oh, I would, but there's one more thing I have to mention. The committee has a draft newsletter out, which has not been reviewed by the whole committee yet, and so it's in your minutes, but it's not really.
It's just draft.
But it's a draft at this point. But the important part of that draft is that there is a job description in there. We're looking for the Aboriginal facilitator position to be filled. There is a budget we got from CBT, 2,500 of the 7,500 we asked for an Aboriginal liaison person. And so we've cut that job from 12 months to 6 months at 4 hours a week, which the 2,500 from CBT will pay for. And the newsletter has that job description and the position advertised in it. So we want to, as soon as the committee actually makes it, I'm sure everybody will accept the newsletter, and we want to move ahead with trying to find that person. So if anyone knows of anyone, you can read through that job description. We are looking for somebody of Aboriginal affiliation. It's a research job and a job to move towards having an Aboriginal Friendship Center as separate from the school board, so that we could apply for funding under arm's length thing. So that's my report, thank you.
Okay, and you'll move to the
I
2C?
move, yes.
Seconded by Geoff. Geoff, is there a question?
I'm curious about the Métis language.
Michif. Yes, Michif is the name they give to the Métis language.
Is it a mix? It's, French mix?
No, it's written in, you know, that orthography that was invented by some missionaries at some point, and it actually is considered an Aboriginal language. I suspect that it is a combination of French and Cree, probably, but it's known as Michif, and some of these picture books have one page English, one page Michif, and most of them have a CD where the stories are told in Michif. And those Ariel brought to the meeting, and they're picture books for elementary school children.
Also, in this newsletter, reports by the Aboriginal support people, Lisa Moore and
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
I have to say, those people are doing a phenomenal job working with the students in the elementary and the high schools. The students who came to the meeting, the high school students, I sat with two of them for a sort of group discussion, and they spoke extremely highly of their classes, the program, and of their facilitators. So that was nice, actually.
Thanks, Leslie. All those in favor of the motion, please see. Carried. Thank you. Bill, the ad hoc strategic planning committee minutes of April 7th.
So our meeting on April the 7th was actually the first time that we had an opportunity now to meet with the expanded group. So you'll note that we now have Todd as the principal rep, Jennifer Walney as the RTA rep, Sue Davies, who's the parent rep, and of course Mike, and then Clara Mulkey, the QP rep, who was unable to attend that meeting. It's interesting you mentioned the concern about the time, because Sue never said anything about that at the meeting. So.
Yeah, and she has committed to come to the next one, so she's our parent.
Yeah. Anyway, so this was the first opportunity for the group to get together to look at what the three of us, Geoff, Leslie, and I have done so far based on our meeting on January 22nd. So we worked through in the minutes the mission, vision, and values, and then also our goal number 1. And so next week we should be able to work through goal 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully at that point then we'll have a draft document, and we'll have a discussion at meeting 2 as to what our next steps are going to be as to getting basically community input on this process. So that's where we're at so far. So I will move that those minutes be received.
Second. Elmer, discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Now we move to trustee reports, and first one very old, October minutes, the Okanagan College Advisory Committee meeting. Jeff, any brief comments on this one? Okay, a long time. And next one is the more recent one of March 24th. And Leslie, any comments?
I can review notes that I have very briefly. I would say that generally the meeting was divided into sort of program certainties and program possibilities, as well as having a presentation by Gary Pendergrass and Janet Lemieux, the same one for the labor market study that we had. The certainties are that a construction craft worker program is now running in Kelowna, and it will run throughout the Okanagan Valley as an Aboriginal bridging program. There is a new occupational health and safety certificate program that is going to Education Council of the college in April for approval. If it's approved, and people are assuming it will be, this will be delivered in the fall of 2015. It's an online program, 272 hours, and will be administered out of Revelstoke. So that is going to happen. Almost a certainty, but not quite, is an addition to Okanagan College's international program. They have 550 international students who are involved in 5 different projects, they're calling them, rather than programs. And they're running out of space, so they're looking at putting some of these projects into Revelstoke. They will need, as an alpine experience, a unique alpine experience for international students. Programs are 2 to 4 weeks long, with 15 to 25 students in each, taking part in 7 planned activities plus ESL. And they will be looking for billets in Revelstoke with a payment of $188 per student per week. For anybody who wants to billet an international student. The cost to students who come, and they seem to be mainly from Korea, Japan, I'm not sure where else. There was a new, Okanagan College has hired a new person from Korea to work in Korea as a marketing person. But the cost to students is $4,000 to $5,000. The other possibility is the culinary arts program out of the high school that Mike has already mentioned. They're looking at doing some sort of collaboration with RSS between the college and giving college credit. And apparently there's quite a demand in Revelstoke for people with some training, kitchen training.
Makes sense.
The other is possible future programming. Very quickly, possibility of another healthcare assistant program to run in Revelstoke, a need in response to a need articulated by Interior Health. The trades department of the college is waiting for an announcement as to whether the electrical pre-apprentice program will run in 2015 in Revelstoke. It's not going to. Possibility mentioned BC Hydro funding for trades training. Do you know that, whether that's still under consideration? Okay. And finally, Thompson Rivers is not combining with the college to run an adventure tourism program out of Revelstoke, but the College of the Rockies has expressed interest in doing so. And so that's under consideration. There's some problems around equipment purchase. The proposal that's out there right now is for 2016, not next year, with the possibility of 24 students. And the only other thing that I could mention is that Jim Barmby, the dean, reported that CBT rejected Selkirk's application for a research project and mentioned that work needs to be done to strengthen Okanagan College's profile with Columbia Basin Trust. So there's some work to be done there. So can I recommend acceptance of these minutes?
Those ones we don't, because it's not our committee.
Oh, we don't? Oh, I
We're
see,
represented.
okay.
And just to note in there that the October minutes are here with the March 24th because they're not approved to the March 24th meeting, so it's not like you're getting that.
Next item on the trustee reports is the Chamber of Commerce luncheon on April the 8th. Elmer and I both attended that because the guest for the day was Norm MacDonald, our MLA, and so Elmer and I both took the opportunity to continue our dialogue in terms of our concerns about education funding. So we both made sure that we buttonholed Norm and had a good conversation. So
One additional thing too. Sidewalk sale, May the 9th, and it's an opportunity for clubs and groups or whatever to set up a table or whatever, fundraise, be from 9 to 4 o'clock, and please like any group contact Judy Goodman at the Chamber of Commerce.
next under correspondence, we've had 2 items added, and Bill has requested this, so maybe if you
this way and
pass them out, pass a few around the table, and maybe Bill,
Hand
would
up.
like to start by comments?
Well, the reason why I wanted to add these letters.
I gotta go too.
Oh, since they've got some.
Because they continue to show examples of the concerns that boards have across the province with regards to, in the case of the first letter, the shared service and the whole issue of the budget implications based on the provincial government's budget and its request to remove $54 million out of admin services over the next 2 years. And as you all know, there's many letters out there, but I wanted to make sure that our letter that you wrote, Alan, was brought to the public's attention because I think it's an excellent letter pointing out the very good work that we already do in this district with regards to shared services. There's a whole list there that Alan has outlined, and I'm not going to read them, but I think it certainly does prove that we're already doing a lot of very good work there. To make sure that what we do is focus the financing that we get from the provincial government on providing services to students. And I don't know if any of you heard the minister on CBC the other day, Friday morning it was, but he's now using if I remember correctly, the term, this myth of underfunding in education. That's the term he's using now, which, this is an example that it's not a myth, that boards are doing incredible work to make sure that services are being provided. And so I just wanted to make sure we noted that one for what we're doing here in Revelstoke.
Great. Thanks, Bill. And basically what happened here is I saw a letter from, I believe it was Souk, the school district, who outlined to the minister what they were doing in the area of shared services, because the ministry has made a real push saying school boards have to get into shared services. And what we're trying to point out is we've been doing that for years. We're always open to finding other areas to improve where we do shared services, but in a lot of cases, things that you might think would be cost savings aren't. And one example that they are always talking about is going to common payroll systems. But this and Bruce would know best about this one, but something like that where you go to different payroll providers and try to get districts to go together, you end up increasing the cost rather than decreasing. But where there are opportunities, and I'll give you one example. The BC Public School Employers Association Benefits Buying Group, and I was on that committee for a number of years, and basically the school districts go together to then go on to get bulk buying for benefits, and the end result is that traditionally the premiums are charged at market rate, and we traditionally save 2 months out of 12 with a premium-free holiday, and that's just a pure example of a shared service resulting in a cost-saving district. We're doing it. And we will continue to do it whenever it makes sense. One that's being looked into right now is legal services, and again, this district is very, very receptive if it can be shown that it will save us money and be more efficient. And the intent of this letter is to let the minister know it's taking place and has been for years. So thanks for bringing that forward, Bill. And are there any questions or comments? Yes, Leslie?
Well, I have a comment about another letter that Bill recommended.
We're going to do that next.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so then the next letter that's been added to the agenda is the letter that went from Teresa Zanzoff, President of the BC School Trustees Association, again to the Minister of Education regarding the co-governance memorandum of understanding between the Provincial Ministry of Education and BC School Trustees.
And this one again, as I said earlier, many letters are going out, but this one again is at the provincial level, the BC School Trustees Association from their president, and that has to do with their concerns with regards to the memorandum of understanding that was signed at the Trustee Academy in December. That was only a few months ago, and already there are concerns there that the memorandum is not being followed from the perspective of how the provincial government is announcing some of its decisions or policies and so on. And just to quote from the letter, in order for boards of education represented by BCSTA to work effectively with the Minister of Education and government as a whole, the positions and input of our members must be both heard and considered before decisions impacting school districts are made. In short, co-governance for us means reaching a shared understanding before decisions are made. And then it goes on to talk about Bill 11, which of course was just brought down about 2 or 3 weeks ago in the House. And I'm sure none of us have had really any chance to look at the implications of there, but some of them sound fairly serious as to the impact of the district. So again, just another example of the advocacy work that trustees are doing.
Thanks, Bill. Any questions or comments? I'm also on the board of the BCST, and we had quite a discussion on this. And And we do have a lot of concerns in terms of, we don't believe the spirit and intent of the understanding is, memorandum of understanding is being followed as we anticipated would be. And so we've asked for a review of it and to sit down and have them abide by what we jointly signed. So that brings us to the conclusion of the regular agenda.